Hey everybody, this is Perch. Got a question about streaming shows. This is only vaguely related to comics, but still it's a fun topic, so we're going to talk through this question. By the way, I know we're on the eve of, what is it? The Lord of the Rings on Amazon Prime, Ring of Power? Rings of Power? I think that's the name of the series. I continue to have this same belief, and nothing has really pushed me away from it, which is to say, it's very easy for me to ignore it. Now, granted, I am not a big J.R.R. Tolkien fan. I think the stuff is fine. They were entertaining books. Movies, okay. I have not gone all in with the lore. I'm not that person. I've met many of those people who are, all in on all those pieces, and I'm not. So I couldn't tell you. I even to this day, if you put a gun to my head, I'm like, I could start naming characters. I'm like, okay, there's Frodo, sure, and Bilbo, and then I just start making them up from there. Sauron's a character in there. Gandalf, okay. Then you just start making up names where you kind of like put two names together and you add like a Gon or a Mir at the end, like Larry Mir and Philogon and Eustace of Evermore Shire town. I don't know. You can make fun of me as much as you want. It's not my thing. I've never been a big fan. I get it. It's fine. And I am sympathetic to the people who really dislike the way they're changing the lore and everything else in what Amazon's doing. But I think the best antidote to that thing is don't watch it. Don't watch it, and their numbers will be bad. And they spent a terrific amount of money on it. So I think it's going to be hard, even if it's quote unquote successful, it's going to be hard for it to make its money. I think that's the thing that a lot of people need to realize is that it has to be wildly successful. And the odds of it being wildly successful, I think, are low. Because I think the normies out there do not really want to see a Lord of the Rings prequel. I think, again, you're going to have to. I think that people are overestimating the interest in the normie crowd for that piece of content. But I may be wrong. And by the way, even forget about the woke, not woke, any aspect of that. I think you make that thing a direct blow by blow of Tolkien's work, and that is completely and absolutely faithful to the original lore or whatever, or you deviate and do other things. I don't think it's. I don't think that one's going to take off. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't see it happening. I think they've got to make it very exciting. Keep in mind, people always point to Game of Thrones, like, well, Game of Thrones did. Well, Game of Thrones. I'm sorry. Do I need to say the obvious? There was a lot of violence, blood, and tits in Game of Thrones, and especially those first two seasons were off the hook with boobs. They were all over the place. You had people getting beheaded. People spears going through, a fucking demon dog, attacking and biting somebody's head off. And then you had, orgies. And I'm sorry, that's why that's going to bring in the normies. They're going to be like, what? You got blood and boobs? Okay, I'm in. And there's this, they pulled people in with the story, but let's not discount the boob factor. Okay, so anyway, I should get to this mail because I'm rambling on, but it is related. So this isn't one of those, video starts at 5 minutes moments. This is actually related. It says, do streaming shows realize the marketing has to be twice as good? That's the question. See, it's related to all this bullshit I put at the beginning. All right, goes. I don't have Disney Plus or HBO Max, but my YouTube feed keeps sending me Harley Quinn and She-Hulk clips. I like the Harley Quinn show. If I had HBO, I'd watch it. But the clips alone aren't enough to make me download the app, sign up for the free trial, and maybe subscribe. She-Hulk is just awful so far, which seems a shame because I've mostly loved the character since she debuted. Okay. But both shows really have a similar problem. It's not enough for them to get me interested to the point where I want to see the show. They have to get my interest high enough that I go all the way through the download, free trial, and finally subscribe. That's a high mountain to climb, and I don't think the streaming services have fully realized that yet. If I've already got a service, I'll at least take a look at the show. I have Amazon, so I'll check out that Lord of the Rings show. I have Crunchyroll, so I checked out Tanya the Evil. But after the marketing for She-Hulk, I barely have enough curiosity to watch the YouTube clips. Same with Game of Thrones spinoff after the way they ended Game of Thrones and some of the reaction to the fans' reaction. Am I wrong? Does the marketing for a streaming service show have to be at least twice as good as a show on a free network? Thanks for the channel. No, you're not wrong. That's a basic business principle. Look, I think you have a number of steps of what they call, sometimes they call it the leaky bucket, sometimes they call it abandonment. There's a bunch of different ways they describe this effect, but it's basically, what you want is somebody's money to sign up for a subscription. And you definitely want that because a lot of people will sign up and then promptly forget that they've subscribed and then remember it like a year later when they look at their bill and they're like, what the hell am I paying for this still? And then you basically got a year of free money out of them because they weren't paying attention, they weren't leveraging your service, and they forgot that they were subscribed. This happens all the time. It's one of the unspoken benefits of a SaaS business. So this is how the streaming services operate. But the problem is you've got a leaky bucket situation in order to get them through the door. Because what you have to do is exactly as you described. You've got to basically market to them, say, here's a show, you really want it. To get this show, you can't just turn on the channel or set your DVR or whatever it happens to be to a certain time. You've actually got to go download the app. And once you download the app, you've got to configure it, meaning you've got to tie it to your existing cable service if you have it, or you've got to sign up for a free trial, and you got to put in your phone number and email, and you may not want to do that. And if you're doing this like on a Roku box or an Apple TV, you probably don't even have a keyboard, so you're doing it on that shitty remote where you're like punching in one letter at a time, and it sucks. And and then once you've done that, you've got to put in a credit card if you're going to do this, or you're going to have to open up your laptop and go to a website to then put in your billing information. You're going to need some second stage auth to actually verify that you're really you. And so they're going to send you a mail, and then you're going to wait for it, and then you're going to click on the mail to activate the account. And at every single one of those moments, it's a dropping off point. It's where people go, you know what, I'll do this later. I'm tired. And what a lot of streaming services realize is that the more people delay things, meaning like, I should really get Disney for that She-Hulk show, but I'm busy right now. And then a week later, you're like, oh yeah, that She-Hulk show, I guess I should get that, but I'm out. I'm at a bar right now. I don't want to do it on my phone. That'd be crazy. And then you think about third week, like, oh yeah, She-Hulk. But right now I'm trying to bury the body that's been sitting in my trunk and starting to stink. So I'll do it when I get home. And just the longer that goes on, your brain does this amazing thing where it goes, maybe I don't need it. If it's gone like 3 weeks and I haven't bothered to do it, maybe I don't. Why am I? Maybe do I really want to spend this money? I should just save this money and not buy it because I clearly don't need it. If I keep delaying actually getting it, I don't need it. So I'm just going to opt out. And once your brain hits that point, then you never come back, or it's very, very hard to reacquire you at that point. You're just out. And so that's the funny kind of thing that goes on in people's heads. So you do have to market. The marketing has to be twice as good. The friction of getting you past the leaky bucket problem, where you actually start giving your money, has to be super easy. And so all these things have to come together, and it's extremely hard for these companies to do it. So this is the net effect of and the marketing has to be really, really good, and it's frequently not. And that's so yes, you're absolutely right. The marketing has to be twice as good. Your premise is correct. And I also think the streaming services, you're right, have not completely identified that. We haven't entered the phase yet for the streaming channels where they need to actually keep customers. They're still kind of fucking around with, playing fast and loose with that whole thing. And so we'll hit this moment where they realize they have, the acquiring the next group of customers is going to be quite hard because they've got all the easy people. And keeping them is going to be also hard because, once they kind of start to tune out, it's very hard to pull them back in. So I think that's, for some like Disney, I think they're another year away. Yeah, I know the Gina Carano thing, but overall, people, the masses aren't going to flee the service in bulk. The thing they have to worry about is when the masses start fleeing the service because they're just bored. But anyway, great mail. Thank you very much for the question. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and thanks for listening.